Okay folks, here we go again. Back in the MU2 Bravo 60 but takeoff go around simulations, the Marquis. And this time we're going to do it in the GNS version. From Tallahassee to Pensacola at a cruising altitude of 4,000 feet. Well, that's interesting. Sometimes that light doesn't work. I think what happens is it goes on, then it goes off if you got fuel, which we have plenty of fuel. Okay, because it's the first flight of the day, that all seems to be in order. Go ahead and hook up the ground power unit. Charge up the batteries. Now this has a special feature. It's called a GPSS roll steering. You have GPS mode and heading mode. Up here, you can indicate airspeed, vertical speed, altitude select, altitude, VOR approach if you're dialed in, heading, and GPS. So when you're going out of heading mode and GPS mode, you don't select anything up here, you select it down here. It's a workaround for the Sperry old school autopilot. Alright, cruising altitude to be 4,000 initially. Vector 198 to Pensacola. Go ahead and put that in there. Go ahead and set up everything else here. Make sure you don't forget to have this on, so that you can pump from the outermost tank to the innermost tank. Everything goes into this tank here. Rammer off, and then we'll go ahead and program our flight plan. Before I do that, let's see what the weather's doing.
2736. Advise on initial contact. You have information. Whiskey. Tallahassee Regional Information Whiskey, 1800 Zulu. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions view at 25,000. Temperature 10. Dew point -4. Altimeter 3028. Arriving runways 2736. Departing runways 2736.
Okay, what I usually do is just go direct. Been a while since I used this thing. Then I go back to flight plan, highlight it. First checkpoint will be Seminole VOR. Accept it, then I'll go to Mariana VOR. Accept that, then I'll go to Crestview. I'll accept that, and then I'll go to Pensy. It's a little checkpoint just north of the field. And that takes care of that. Now what I could also do, no, I don't want to do that. Go ahead and activate this one. Let's say I want to be at 2,000 feet, which I'm not going to actually do this. I might, I don't know. One mile. Pensy at 500 feet a minute. Just for shits and giggles. All right, I'm not going to enter the approach yet until I get closer. Always remember to have this in CDI GPS. Also same down here. And you don't have to use this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Make sure you highlight that. And then go to same, Seminole. It's more or less just a backup flight plan. Oh, come on. All right, that pretty much takes care of that. I really like the digital transponder. I think that's pretty cool. You can record your flight time, turn that on. We'll leave it on, just on only. VFR. Go to heading. And also, you can check 359 to Seminole. Go ahead and put that in the ballpark. You have to adjust this yourself. It doesn't do it automatically. And vertical speed, it's just going to tell you what your vertical speed should be. You have to do that with either V-speed or indicated airspeed and adjust accordingly. It doesn't, the only thing it does vertically is the ILS glide slope. All others are non-precision. You have to control the vertical. It will do a good job laterally, but you have to control the vertical. There's sort of a combination here of old school and new school. They put this in as a workaround for the old school autopilot, which you can operate with or without the flight director. The yaw damper goes on automatically when you engage it. You can control vertical speed with pitch mode here, and then you have to reset up here. I don't have time to get into all that, but you'll get the hang of it. Alright, that pretty much completes everything there. We assume we did the walk around. Checked everything else. Let's go and shut this thing off. Shut off all this stuff. Help close the door. Yeah, one more little check. Did I do it? I don't think I did. Just double check it. All right. Right engine first, on. Lights off, oil pressure up. Auto start, EGT, RPM, fuel flow. Props in the lock. Light back on. Good start, stabilize. Right generator. Start left engine. Lights out. Auto sequence. Oil pressure. EGT. Fuel flow. RPM. Lights back on. Okay. Let's go ahead and do a governor check. Looking for a max of 106. Good. Make sure that brake's on. And let's taxi to the active. Flight control check. Avionics back on. Flight plan's still good. And it is active. Initial course is set. Flaps 20. Confirm. And always remember to put this in the safe mode. Air. All right. Hold the brake. Release. And we start the roll. Clear left, clear right. Taxi in. Nav rotating beacon. Transponder is on. I think it's on. Little brake check here. Fuel check. Tanks on. Rammer off. On the pressurization. Turn the heat up a little bit. We'll just fly runway heading briefly and then turn slightly left to head towards the VOR via Alpha to 36. Tallahassee. Yeah, there's an NVIDIA tweak that you can do. And just pay close attention to the video. I did one before. That was for smoothness. This is for clarity, sharpness. And we're going to do this RNAV approach when we get to Pensacola, provided the winds hold. This scale is from here to here, 35 across. It's about half that from this point here. Looking at this, 35 from this side to that side. Some people get confused by that. All right, altitude select, 4,000. Heading. Alright, hold short here. Landing light, strobe light, transponder on out. Time, release. Right about there, hold it. And runway heading, let's go ahead and select that. It's right about, almost right down the middle. I start off at 20, brake on, let it stabilize a little bit, go up to 60. Release, gradually apply takeoff power to about 90. Wants to squirm. $105. Positive rate. Outer runway. Gear up. Accelerate. Get on course, flaps to 5. Clean it up. And engage the autopilot. Lights off. Let's go to GPS nav. First stop, Tallahassee VOR. Climb about 170 knots. About 95, 96 on percent RPM. Temp a little below 400. Just over 1,000 feet a minute. Level at 4, accelerate to about 210. Okay, vector 198 at 4,000. Speed increasing to 210. We're on our way. Prop sync. About 65 on the torque. Burn the tip tanks first, then the outer tanks. All feeds into the main tank. Let's go ahead and squawk something. 4, 3, 1, 2. Ident. Clear to Pensacola. .49 FPS, not bad. Oil pressure good, fuel pressure is good, fuel quantity is good. Temperature, the low end of the green. It's a cool day out. Probably ought to have this on. At around 215, ground speed 219. Make good time. Cabin pressure is about 4,000 feet. Same as outside. Now there's a third version, a glass cockpit version. You have to purchase the avionics for that if you don't already have it, or if you didn't already purchase it prior to this. I used to have it. I think it was the I'm trying to remember, the G1000 or 700. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Had a touch-tone screen right up here. I didn't like it. And then there's the glass cockpit with the Garmin combination. I'm pretty happy with this, and this gets me where I want to go. Sometimes you get a few stutters here and there when you're using auto orthos and SimHaven. SimHaven doesn't affect it, but auto orthos definitely does. So we'll get a few. There we go. Right there's the first hiccup, down to 20 FPS. And they do that periodically. I don't know why. I've got a good internet feed. And I've got plenty of scenery tiles loaded in, under just almost 100 gigabytes worth. Or at least 50 of them. Then it bounces back up again. Now if I fly it out of auto orthos, it won't do that. But then if I want to go back in, I have to go into the INI pack in the global scenery and rearrange the file again. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but I do like the way it looks. I think it makes things look a whole lot better. And it was because of auto orthos, I did purchase this aircraft because of the high wing and the good views that you get looking out the window. And it's fast. It's got a good range. I did fly the OME version of the Grand Canyon. It was kind of a disappointment. I was hoping X-Plane 12 would, even with auto orthos, it was okay, but not what I expected as far as the Grand Canyon goes. And I flew it at varying altitudes, over 20,000 feet. Performed pretty well. Cabin pressure altitude was set as high as 8,000 feet. I prefer to keep it at or below 8,000. For me, 23,000, 25,000, that's plenty high enough. $16,000 and 17,000 feet. They made a lot of stops. And yes, I did practice engine out emergency procedures, worst case scenario, and I've only flown on one engine, the left engine. I haven't done the right one yet. At around 150, 200 feet after takeoff, I kill it. And I find that you got to use a lot of spoiler or aileron control. Rudder's not too effective at low speed regime. Combination of both. I wanted to pull real hard to the right. And you got to get the gear up really fast, level it off, and don't expect a high rate of climb, especially if you start off at flaps 20. You're lucky to get 500 feet a minute. And whatever you do, don't retract the flaps until you get your speed up at least up to 125. And then leave it at flaps 5. Now it does land relatively easy with flaps 5. Flaps 20 is a little bit of a challenge. Rudder trim, you want to be careful about that. I just hold it with my left foot because you got to make quick adjustments really fast when you touch down, because then it wants to pull hard to the left. Pulls hard to the right when you're in the air, and once you're coming down, as you reduce power and get into beta, even without reverse thrust, you're going to get a lot of drag on the left side. It's going to pull you right off the runway. It's a ball buster. And then I'll have to practice flying on the right engine, see if it's as difficult as it is flying on the left. It will fly autopilot with on single engine, but you can't land or take off with it, obviously. So if you were to get an engine fail on an approach, it's probably best to do a go-around. Unless you're really stable and your flaps are set right. I prefer to be at flaps 5, 20. I did do a flaps 20 landing, but it wasn't pretty. And also, what you will have to do on the good engine, especially if you got any flaps or gear down, you will have to exceed the red line to maintain speed. Although the temperature didn't get much above, I think it barely made 600. I was surprised. Thought I'd overheated for sure, but it didn't. And then you'll probably fly mostly around 80 or 90 on the torque. And it will respond pretty quickly, so you got to get ready. It's going to push you around. But for me, I think the worst time for an engine to fail is on takeoff. Now, procedure-wise, if you just pull off the ground and you've got runway left in front of you, abort, land it. Even if it's going to be an overrun into the grass. especially when you're down around 105 knots, because you'll lose airspeed really, really fast. But if you run out of runway, then you got to get those wheels up really quick, because the drag on the landing gear is unbelievable. It's almost impossible to fly it. You will have to sacrifice altitude for airspeed. My only real complaint in this thing, as with all other third-party developers, is in X-Plane 12, I'd really like to see something done about weather radar. They got to do something about that. So I don't know what's going on there. Put it right there. Gotta have weather radar. Terrain would be nice too. Both. Now, terrain radar seems to be working relatively well in X-Plane. I know the Z-Mod has it. I believe I used to have it in the MD-80 Rotate, X-Plane 11. I had terrain radar. I don't know if I have it in X-Plane 12. I'll have to look. Yeah, terrain and weather radar is a must. You gotta have that. Despite the hiccups and stutters, I really do like auto orthos. I like the look of. I'm using Bing Map overlay. Frame rates right now around 52, 53, 54. And I've cranked up the settings pretty high. I'll show you that at the end of the flight. Another pet peeve in X-Plane 12 is replay mode. I find it's probably best to save the replay before you attempt to back it up and take a look at your landings and takeoffs. It's been crashing a lot. Maybe 1 in 10 I can pull it off. The usual X-Plane aggravations. It's always some. Don't know what the next update's about. I have to look into that. I'm sure they're working on it. Well, there was a cloud improvement. They do look a lot better than they originally did. Not getting excessive turbulence the way I used to get. Winds are pretty stable. I know that in active sky I couldn't use it. It was unusable. Too many variables on the winds. You can have wind, then you lose it, then you have it, and lose it as you're going up and down. I didn't like that. It's like these little null zones as you go up and down. The variables were good, but had to stop using it. I still have it. Well, X-Plane weather's fine. I use ATIS to find out what's going on. I can always go to my Navigraph and get forecasts reasonably close. I'm not sure where the weather engine is coming from for X-Plane 11. I mean X-Plane 12. I would assume it would be NOAA, but I really don't know. I'll have to look that up. Find out where they're getting their live weather. And it's not perfect, but it's close enough. I think this is a really good choice if you're going to do a lot of VFR flying and X-plane. And this view here, we're running at 56. Which is good. Now my next project is going to be the Beach King Air. I think it's the 350 by Airfoil Labs. I hear that the frame rate is pretty frame rate greedy, demanding as you start flipping systems on. I don't know if that's the case in 12.07. It is expensive. Price also was a deciding factor in picking this one. I can live without the payload and a pop-up checklist. It'd be nice to have it, but if I had a choice, I'll pick the radar first. And I'll be happy to just fly this single seat. Sound-wise, okay. Some people complain about it. This is a new sectional view in Navigraph. See, there's a lot of military operations area all around this corridor here. That's why you fly right up the middle here. A lot of MOAs. A lot of training's done up in this area. We'll be right about here and fly straight over the field, go out here, turn left into the holding racetrack, come back in, intercept, and fly straight in. I actually don't need it. You can also look at the weather ahead. Variable at 5 knots. 3028. Let's see if that holds. 3028. Let's see what ATIS has to say about that. We will see. Yeah, I gotta get a little bit closer. Nice, sunny, calm, cool day in North Florida. Bit chilly, down to 40s in the early morning hours. Still pretty cool up here.
On initial contact, you have information. Pensacola Regional Information. Lima 1850 Zulu. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions scattered at 25,000. Temperature 13. Dew point -4. Altimeter 3026. Arriving runway 17. Departing runway 17. Advise on initial contact. You have information. Lima.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and set up the approach. I think I can use that one. Wait till we pass Pensy and line up on Pensacola, and then we'll start it from there. Now, if I was to start descending at 123 feet per minute, I should arrive 1 mile prior to Pensy at 2,000 feet. I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying, as I get closer, that number will rise until it matches that one. And that is 11 minutes and 43 seconds from now. You'll see it go up slowly. The closer you go, the greater it goes. This is what I picked. This is what I have to do to get to that point at that distance out before Pensy. Maybe I'll do that in another video. Now, laterally, pretty accurate. Vertically, you have to control that. So what we're going to use is LNAV minimum 480. Put that right there. We'll bottom out at 500 down here. We'll start at 2,000 feet inbound, slow it down, get everything all set up and ready. Probably put the gear down right about here on the way down. 130 knots all the way in. Level at 17, and here we'll start our approach at 130, flaps 20, gear down at a rate of about 700 feet a minute, depending on the ground speed. At 120, it's 637, 140, 1743, so somewhere in between that will be our descent rate. Let's see what our actual ground speed is. Now, if I turn off the single red line, SRL, you'll see the temperature change and it go down. You get a caution and warning. And if you should lose that, you need to follow this. Based on the temperature between 51 and 52, don't go any higher than probably about 51 to be safe. We're well below that. Then when I turn it back on, temperature goes back up. You'll also get a warning if you lose it, and a caution. Slightly higher temperature on the #1 turbine. That's a computer that comes up with those figures. As long as you stay under 6, you should be all right. Adds a little margin of safety. Depending on temperature, outside temperature, altitude, airspeed. $33 minutes. A bit hazy out today. Now the taxi lights work just as well as the landing lights. You've also got a function called wigwag. It shows up better at night. Sort of an alternating flasher, right to left, left to right. I think that's pretty cool. This little test here, delta PP, the only thing I noticed is a slight fluctuation in temperature. RPM. I don't know what significance that is. Not sure. Try looking it up. It only has something to do with delta, which is a change in pressure over pressure test, PP. Try looking it up. Couldn't get any information on it. Just all I know is I get a slight fluctuation here when I test it. The defog test doesn't really do anything. I know not. Anyway, we're almost there. Made pretty good time. About 40 minutes before I started heading in. Faster than driving. Pretty much just flew along Interstate 10 all the way. Of course, below 10,000 feet, you will burn up a lot of gas. We're burning about 700 per hour. Just about drained the tip tank, so we'll start on these tanks next. Still got plenty in the main. Oil pressure's good, fuel pressure's good. Temperature's a little on the low side. A little low on the RPM there. Let me bring that up just a hair. Should be just at the bottom of the green arc. And you'll notice that you advance the condition lever slightly forward, your temperature will go down. Less load on the engine, the torque will drop also. She operates in flight between 96 and 100. You've got a overspeed and underspeed governor to prevent NTS, negative torques, on the engine. Should not fly if that's not working. Because it's a single shaft, or they call a fixed shaft, TPE 331/10 by Garrett. It's a gearbox. It's directly hooked up to the turbo shaft, just in front or above the compressor. Gear reduction box. That's why you got to start it up with a pitch flat. It actually won't start unless it's in lockout. That's why you have the unfeather switch. On the ground, you want to keep your RPMs in the yellow here. Don't get in the stay out of the red. It's high vibration. a little bit bumpy today. Okay, when I get close on something like this with a sharp turn, go to heading. Try to lead it. And you can see the CDI is going slightly to the right. Make a little correction. Just like a VOR. What I like to see with the OME version was a, besides the weather radar, would be DME with ground speed. They should have squeezed that in there if they could have. Alright, back to GPS. Just helping it along. 170. Now we'll go ahead and activate this. And we'll slowly bring it down to about 2,000 feet. Reduce airspeed. And I'll come down about 200 knots. At a rate of about, let's bring that back a little more. 1,000 feet a minute. Or 900, close enough. Altitude select. Don't ever forget that. Buffy. Oscar Bravo Uniform Foxtrot Yankee. We'll just go a lot of loose items back there. We'll fly a parallel, then we'll turn left and inbound 45 degrees. We intercept it on a 45-degree angle, line it up, and I'm going to leave this at about 40 on the torque. Slow down to about 180, 175. A little bit breezy.
Runway 17, departing runway 17. Advise on initial contact to have information Lima. Automated weather observation, Ferguson. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions, view at 25,000. Temperature 14. Dew point -3. Altimeter 3018. Pensacola Regional Information Lima, 1850 Zulu. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions scattered at 25,000. Temperature 13. Dew point -4. Altimeter 3026. Arriving runway 17. Departing runway 17. Advise on initial contact to have information Lima. Pensacola Regional Information Lima, 1850 Zulu. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions scattered at 25,000. Temperature 13. Dew point -4. Altimeter 3026. Arriving runway 17. Departing runway 17.
Now the next altitude would be 1700. Put that in the bullpen. Then when I cross PG at 17, I'll drop down to 500. Preferably come out ahead of this, 1 mile or greater, at an altitude above 480. I'll level off at 5. Give me a little bit of cushion there. Never go below it. Never. Be above it, but don't go below it. Maintain 130, 135 knots all the way in. And try to stay between 500 and 1,000 feet a minute, preferably right in the middle. That should get me down fast enough to just level out at 500 and be able to see the approach lights, which in this case is not going to happen because it's severe clear out right now. North Florida Panhandle white sandy beaches. We actually have those down in Clearwater too. White sand, blinding white. Parallel entry. Now it probably won't do it by itself. I'll have to do it for it. So I'll go to heading. I'll start slowing down a little more. All right, flaps 5, light on. Stay inside the pattern. About 155 knots at flaps 5. And about 45-degree intercept. And this should be set at 349. There it is. And we'll intercept that and bring it in. And as soon as I go over O'Buffy, I'll drop her down to 17. Maintain at or above 150. I get lined up on it. Then I go to flaps 20. Slow down to about 140, 135. Okay, let's go ahead and lock it in. Line it up. Flaps 20. Slow her down. Indicated airspeed. No, not yet. Alright, slow down a little more. Condition levers forward, sync off. Power up, 130. At about 60 on the torque. As I cross PG, I'll begin my approach. I'll leave the gear up. Now I can go ahead and go to vertical. Oh, not yet. Where do I get down about 130? Indicated airspeed, use power to keep it level. Stay just at or above 130 knots. About a mile and a half to go. All right, right about now, gear comes down. It's going to want to slow. Power into it. Maintain 1700. All right, now we start going downhill. Try to get it right in between 5 and 1,000 feet a minute. Not easy, especially if the winds are variable. The goal is to try to hit 500 feet before mile out. All right, altitude set, altitude select, 130. 2 miles to go, shallow out a little bit. And bring it back down. One. 1.8. Above. I basically fly it right down to the ground. And get off the runway. Lights off, flaps up, contact ground, strobe off, hurry, 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 transponder to standby. And that's that. To the ramp. Radar off if you got it. I find it's easier to land if I come down and come in low and shallow, like 500 feet per feet or minute or less. Once I shallow out, cross the threshold at about 20 feet or less. It's not like flying a jetliner. And then carry power down all the way to your touch, or she'll thump pretty hard. And of course, always get a clearance across an active runway. And even when you do, look both ways. Touchdown elevation was 103. Shows me at 120. Field elevation. That sure that altimeter was right. I got too much clutter, I can't read it. I don't know. I don't agree with it. Close flight plan. Click. You can also remove the pilot when you're done. So there it is, the GNS version. I like it. I'm fine with the 430 and the 530. The radio stack. Would love to have weather radar. Be wonderful. But not to be, at least not for now. And the sharpness and clarity, let's see why. Go to graphics. Got it maxed out quite a bit. Texture qualities on max. Ambient occlusion SSAO is at ultra. Rendering resolution FSR. Super sampling is at full resolution. Anti-aliasing. This is based on someone else's recommendation. I set it this way: 4 times MSAA. Antistopic filtering 16 times. Cloud qualities maxed out. I did turn up the shadows finally to maximum. Rendering distance I'll leave at high. World object density at high. Vegetation I maxed that out. Draw parked aircraft and enable 3D vegetation, and I'm still getting reasonably good frame rate. Of course, the weather's good too, so that has a lot to do with it. Right around the upper 40s, at low 50s. So I'm anxious to see how the other aircraft behave, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the tweak I did. Anyway, check the link, look at the video. Very informative at the very least, and try it at your own risk. I did. I think it did make a difference. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. And if I can do a replay, the only way I could do that is basically save this file. Let's see, save flight, replay 1. All right, we'll do that. It seems that when you go to this feature here, it will crash if you attempt it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I stay away from that. I'll try it. Who knows? It might work, it might not. Anyway, folks, until then, see you on the next one. Don't know where I'm going next. I am going to definitely be looking into the Airfoil Labs Beach King Air, but I'm going to spend some more time in this. And when I'm finally reasonably able to master flying this thing here, I'll move on to the next. So, see you for now. Bye-bye. Not too bad, not too bad.